Okay, let's talk about this game. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cleveland Browns. Honestly, pretty excited for this one. This is one of those games where you're probably more excited about it from a fantasy perspective because these aren't two teams that would generally excite the public unless you're really a fantasy junkie. But both of these teams have had some pretty interesting developments in terms of the way that their offenses looked. Obviously, last week the Browns lit it up against the Bengals, whereas the Raiders have been very good on offense, much better than we anticipated them to be. This should be a pretty fun game to watch for fantasy purposes. So jumping over here and talking about their Vegas lines, we got a 52.5 point over-under in this one. Browns are favored to win by 2.5 points, but it's a pretty close game there. Raiders are allowing the 4th most points to quarterbacks and the 2nd most points to running backs, 10th most points to receivers. So they've been exploitable in all the main skill positions, above average against tight ends, but only barely so. Whereas the Browns have been giving up the 8th most points to quarterbacks, the 2nd most points to receivers. This should be a high scoring game based on this matchup alone. That is why I'm pretty excited about this game. Derek Carr has looked incredibly good. He's looked very close to his old self from when he was actually an MVP candidate. Not really getting those mentions now, but he's played very well. This has been a very different Raiders team that we've seen. Browns obviously losing Odell Beckham should be a downgrade to their offense, but we saw Baker Mayfield look way more comfortable without Odell Beckham there. Maybe there's something there. I'm not going to try to say addition by subtraction here, but Baker Mayfield definitely looked more comfortable without Odell Beckham in the lineup. I think this will be a pretty fun game all around. On the Raiders side of the ball, Derek Carr is a great streaming option this week. Obviously, as we mentioned, Browns given up a ton of fantasy points to quarterbacks. Josh Jacobs disappointed you last week. I think he ends up having a very nice day here. Now, in terms of receivers, I think Aguilar is the best start here, but I would start Ruggs if you have him and you need a high upside option. He has not seen nearly the target share that we would like to see, but he's the kind of guy that can get it done for you on 1 or 2 plays, and I think he could definitely get a nice long touchdown bomb in this one, just based on the weakness of the Browns secondary. So Aguilar and Ruggs are good starts for me. I have Aguilar ranked higher, so that's why I have him above Ruggs here, but I think you could start both of them. Darren Waller, of course you're starting him at this point. I'm never really going to recommend benching him. Hunter Renfrow hasn't seen nearly the target share you want to see from him, so I'm probably going to recommend keeping him on your bench if you can. On the Browns side, Baker Mayfield, also a good streaming option. Would probably start Carr over Mayfield because I think the Raiders will have to throw the ball a little bit more. Mayfield is a great start. Hunt, still a great start. This could be a top 3 week for Kareem Hunt. The Raiders' run defense has been absolute garbage the entire year. I think you can start Jarvis Landry pretty confidently here without Odell Beckham. Rashard Higgins, we'll see if the touch share between him and Donovan Peoples-Jones, we'll see how that breaks out. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is the more athletic option here, but Higgins definitely has more of the trust of Mayfield. This could be one of those situations where as the season goes on, you start seeing Peoples-Jones used more than Higgins, but I do think this week I would trust Higgins a bit more than Peoples-Jones. Now, the tight end option here, obviously, both Bryant and Njoku. Bryant had 2 touchdowns last week, and Njoku had 1. Bryant ran more routes, had more targets in this game, which means we have no idea what is going to happen this week. Because that's just how fantasy goes. So I'm not really excited for either of these options here. If you had to throw one out there, I'd probably throw Bryant out there, but don't be shocked if David Njoku ends up having the better day. And we'll see, maybe Austin Hooper ends up surprising us and playing this week. I would play Austin Hooper if he was back, but I'm thinking they're going to hold him out because they do have their bye week next week. Not playing either defense in this one. I actually think I like the Raiders a little bit better in this one. I got the Raiders winning this one 28-24.